So let's go back to, I know you've covered this plenty of times with other conversations, but being on a reality TV show such as Towie, you've made it a very smart business move. Mm-hmm. I've only written down 2 other people from that show that springs to mind that have done pretty well. Mark Wright being one of them, and Jake Hall, you know, he's also got a nice brand. But
Joey Essex.
Joey Essex, okay, yeah. And there's probably a couple others in there, but these are the natural ones that spring to my mind straight away. Was it, on reflection now, a bit of a PR advertisement of yourself to build your profile and then to pivot into a brand that you've got today?
Going on the show? Oh, mate, that was the only thing behind it. It was like, there was a few reasons behind it. One would have been obviously because I was young and I wanted to go and get hold of a load of birds. And the other one was just, I had an offer on the table at a time when it come and it was good timing, and it was like I had nothing else going on. And I tried a lot, and there was a few routes that I could have went down, and this was one of them. So I just picked this route. And I went on there straight away. Probably, I've said it so many times, I probably went on there and thought I was going to follow in Joey and Mark's footsteps. Because I had a little bit about me and it was a bit different, and it never happened. So it was like, it hit me quite fast that I wasn't never going to be like this TV guy, because I was different, innit? I spoke different, carried myself a little bit different. I was probably a little bit more aggressive in certain ways because obviously it's just the way I was. And I remember my old man saying to me, if you do the show, you need to make sure that you leave this show because it will stop soon, right? And you've got something to at least get a few quid of. So we was like done a few things. It was like we had the club at one point, like a few of the olders had, and I got looked after and brought in on that. I had a few little ventures that I started. Do you know what? The show put me in the position where I started meeting people that had big dough around them, and I started seeing people who had decent businesses, and that inspired me a bit more, definitely. But the show was like, when I got on there, I was like, I'm on here, I'm 22, I'm being paid to go out boozing every night. I'm go to Spain a couple times a year to film, and we're gonna have a little blast of it. And the first few months, 6 months, was a lot of fucking about, but then it really got into me about shit, you know what, I have to do something here. Because the comparison thing, I was comparing myself to all these other people who had a few quid on there and I had nothing. I was like, I have to do something here. So I'd done it really more so anything. One, because I was lost to start off with. And number 2 was to build a profile so I can go and like take what I wanted to do further. And looking back, it was the best thing I ever done. The best thing I ever done. It's got like, I've got no, a lot of people try and get rid of that stigma of coming from reality TV. I don't. I use it as like a strong part in my journey I developed so much from doing it. I was like, didn't know how to hold myself when I started that show. When I first started Mallet off and I actually went to the bank, the meeting to go and set the bank account up, we had a bring-in with like quite a high up guys in the bank so we could get a decent business account. And the way I turned up to that meeting, I actually sit back now and I think, wow, I had nothing about me like business-wise. I walked in there in gym bits, was like, put my foot up on the table probably. Talking about big geezers here, like could have give us good opportunities. And at the time, I was so far from where I am now, I didn't know how to handle that sort of stuff. So being on the show probably give me the amount, I've done a lot of traveling, I met a few more like people, and it prepped me for where I am today. So I'm proud of myself for doing it. I'm not like these people that need to start trying to erase parts of their story. Yeah. It's not how I roll. But yeah, to answer the question, it was always something to leapfrog into the next thing. Did I know what I was going to go and do it in? Definitely not. I didn't know what day it was at the time. It was fucking off my head. But when I look back on it, it really did plan out well for me, that show.
So am I right in saying that you made your debut on there at 2014?
Yeah, 14, yeah.
So this is like at the start, kind of first few years of Instagram, right?
Yeah.
So I've had a few reality TV stars, mostly from things like Love Island, etc. on the show, Jack Fincher and a bunch of other people. And I always ask the same question. And it's probably more concentrated for something like a reality TV show such as Love Island rather than something which is regularly ongoing, such as Towie or Made in Chelsea, which is this. Do you recall when you went into the show with Instagram and then coming off the show after a few weeks, a few months, how your profile suddenly blew up? What was that like and what was the numbers?
Do you know what? My first story that ever come out of me, was I come onto a show in Ibiza. which was a bad idea for me because I'd just done like a month out there, and at the time I was heavy. I'd go in out there, and my debut was on the show, and I went out there and caused absolute mayhem. None of it really got showed on Towie either. But the first picture that ever come out of me was me, like, I'll never forget me getting off a Sunlanger to jump into the pool, yeah? The reason I was jumping off the Sunlanger to get into the pool, because I'd been filming and I got so lagging at filming with Arj, I was sick all over myself, right? So my first ever thing was me doing that. And I'll never forget, it was Tommy Mallet is set to be a hit. That's what my first bit of press was. And I had, so like 2,000 followers. I think I had 50,000 within the first month or something. It's nowhere near Love Island because it's more like...
Spread out.
It's spread out. But when I started Mallet off the summer after, so I went on to Towie September 2014. I started Mallet in June 2015. So it took me all that time to get it launched. When I think about it, I've done it really fast. But I think I had 250 when I launched Mallet. So it took me that amount of time to get 250,000 followers. But back then, the interaction on social media was much more than what it was now. If you had 100,000 followers, you could get 70,000 likes on a picture.
Yeah.
That was mad how fast that all happened. And as more reality shows come out, it started getting harder and harder and harder to carry on. But, I remember it being a bit mad. I remember all of a sudden, it was like, mate, I had some mad messages I was getting and stuff like that. So it took me a while to get used to it. But then because Towie sang, which just carried on for so long, you sort of get used to it, innit? I lived my 20s on that show. But it ain't nothing like Love Island. Like, I think Jack and that come out and had what? He went in there with like nothing. He come out with like 2 million followers or something.
Yeah.
See, that's mad. I didn't really get that part in my journey. That didn't happen for me.
And what he said to me is he's basically shielded from the real world.
Yeah.
And then he came out and the guy said to him, when you turn this corner, there's going to be 50,000 screaming fans.
Yeah.
Your life is now going to be different. And the moment he went round there, obviously checked his phone, he's got millions of followers.
Mad.
He just said it was completely overwhelming.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. I'm going to take you back.
That never happened to me though. So that's the lucky thing.
So I think, so am I right in saying, because it was like staggered?
Got eased into it. I was eased into it. And obviously it was mad. I go and do a club appearance and there'd be a few hundred people there, but sometimes I get there and be no one there. It's different for us lot than Love Island. Like, Towie is not as impactful as Love Island, but it just lasts longer. It's a bit of a different structured thing. But yeah, I never had that like mad fame thing that then I had.
Yeah.